Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Manoj Atri, your host. I'm a real estate agent with the Remax Hallmark. And again, welcome to this evening with us. I have our expert mortgage broker, Faisal Garcia, on the line. And he's also waiting. So Faisal Garcia is there. Also there at the moment, and he will be joining us for some of the Skype interview as we go along. And good to start. So let's start with the agenda of the day, and let's see what we are doing for today, and we take it from there. Okay, so today, again, I'm starting with my real estate monologue, marijuana in condos. Now, as you all are aware, 17th of October, we have the legalization of marijuana, and we are going to review this particular aspect of it, how it is affecting condos, and what is the effect that is going to happen to our real estate with this particular one. There's lots of things that are going around, lots of information that is still pouring in, and lots of other details from various experts. So we'll be reviewing around 5 to 7 articles, and so that will constitute my real estate monologue for the day. Next, we have our mortgage expert Faisal Garcia on wait there, and we will have him an article reviewed because lots of different, because there has been an interest rate hike, and some lots of home buyers are not needing more detailed informations, and we will take his expertise on that particular one, and he will review an article for us along with the various queries that we have on that article. Home buyers need more detailed info. So that would be our next part. And the third part is we will going through some of the rent to own homes program details here. So that is what we are doing it for today. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this particular whole thing. And let me get you ahead with the first article for the day. So let's start you with that particular article. Okay, so now this article is, let's head to this article, and it says marijuana in condos, and you cannot smoke just anywhere. So now we are getting into the details of this one. So it has been legalized October 17th. It was legalized. And now we're going to go, because there are very small things in and out, but we are going to see how this affects us with our condos and with our real estate in general. So let's go through the first one. Condo owners and tenants may not realize is that the right to use cannabis is not unrestricted. So yes, we have legalization, but it is not unrestricted. The legalization of marijuana does not give people free rein to smoke just anywhere they like. So there are implications, and there are some boundaries. So we are going to go through this in a few steps one by one, and we'll go try to get an idea, and we'll through these articles where things are and where they are going. Okay, instead, condo owners and tenants can still be subject to non-smoking rules, which are designed to protect fellow owners and residents from being subjected to unwanted secondhand smoke of all types. I've gone through a few of these particular ones, and in the end, the gist would be like you'll have to act very much making sure uh, you are doing it in a way that it is not hurting the neighbors, or you are not getting into and it's also allowed by your condo boards and things like that. So be very careful what you are doing and within the rules of your condominium corporation. Prevent the unreasonable interference with the enjoyment of the units and common elements. So it is very essential that you abide by the common elements of the condo corporation. When properly enacted, reasonable in scope, and regularly enforced, these rules can legally prohibit any kind of smoking in common areas. So yes, you will also find that various condos may come up with their own rules and regulations on this particular ones. From an enforcing perspective, there is really no distinction between tobacco smoking and marijuana smoking. So we will get into the details. So they are saying here, from an enforcing perspective, that between tobacco smoking and marijuana smoking, there is really no distinction. So they're all running fairly parallel, and there may be some restrictions also with marijuana smokings. Residents are likely to find either kind of second-hand smoke equally offensive. So you have to be very careful that your neighbors don't get offended. And in case if you have tenants living in your condos, you have to make them sure that they abide by these rules and regulations also. Condo corporation may want to cover all bets by enacting separate rules to cover marijuana specifically, or may want to shore up existing no smoking bans to mention that marijuana is included. At the same time, I'm just wanting to double check if all of you can hear me properly, and just give me a yes on the chat if you can hear me properly, just making sure everything is in place. Okay, coming back to the article. So condo corporations will be coming up with their own separate set of rules, making sure that the building and you as residents of those condos abide by those ones. So make that sure you be in touch with the condo corporation regarding these rules and regulations. Either way, if you're getting affected or if you're enjoying the use of it, and making sure everything is taken care of. In some cases, a condo corporation may have to tolerate medical marijuana use among its unit owners. So that's what I'm telling you. Like, it's not as clear. Things will get now. How do the condo corporations deal with the people who are using it for medical purposes? So those things will come into effect. So it'll get tricky, because when I had gone through a few of these articles and highlighted these ones, I was going, it gets into the detail of it, and things become, one should be aware of the details of it. And that's the reason I'm going through these few articles for you. What many condo corporations have done in recent months is to hasten their efforts to pass condo rules that prohibit all smoking inside units, on balconies, and in common areas. Again, be in touch with your condo corporation. They may have the rules, and that is what you will have to abide with. Others have added rules to ban the cultivation of cannabis to circumvent the 4-plant individual allowance that the Cannabis Act holds. And as per the Cannabis Act, you can grow 4 plants in your unit. So now some of these condo corporations may have a complete ban of even growing through these particular ones. Okay, so let's get back to the next article. Let's see where we are on this particular article. Let it take a load of it. So giving you a heads up that in the end, be very sure what you're doing and don't get into trouble. Lawyers urge condos to draft cannabis rule now rather than later. So if your condo corporation does not have some rules and regulations, they better, like, you can be in touch with them that they need to get something rolling, because you don't want to be in default or in not be abiding by those ones. Real estate lawyer called on condo dwellers to establish pot use rules for their buildings now rather than later. So that's what the main article is about. Not to mention deeply unpopular among landlords already up in arms about the very possibility of tenants smoking or growing the plant inside their units. Now, you will have to now figure it out. Okay, let's say suppose if your condo board allows doing that, and now you have a tenant who is wanting to grow the plants, how will it affect your real estate down the line? So it becomes tricky here. So you will have to come up with some rules and regulations, and you may have to go through some landlord and tenant board inference on this particular ones. How do you get address this particular one? A 4-member committee that will review the building rules and suggest revisions, which will include a full ban on all types of smoking, including vaping, that will cover patios as well. So again, the lawyers are working on it. They're suggesting the condo board comes up with something or the other, and either they fully banning it, are they allowing medical people to go through it, or what are the rules for your landlord and tenants? Those now they are getting tricky. So that's the reason I'm explaining you these ones. There's just too many issues. Smoke migration between units and potential decrease in the property values. This is where it comes and affects us. And that is what we need to be very careful about. So one is not getting into trouble with the neighbors and not breaking the rules. And second thing, this is where whether you are trying to purchase a property which has marijuana use, or if you are the landlord and you have to sell those particular property, how those may affect those ones. Next, again, you'll have to look more into it. You may have to grandfather an existing tenant for that particular use. Now, let's say suppose there was someone who was medical marijuana using and he's a tenant of yours. How do you address him? So you have to get into the details of those particular things. The right of people, that is the medical marijuana users, in the light of inimical effects of smoke. You'll have to get that addressed. Medical level, and try to figure out how those rights to make it a smoke-free building interplay. So there are lots of things going on, and your condo corporation will have their own rules and regulations, and you may have to work on some of your rules and regulation between a landlord and a tenant. So those are the things that I'm trying to highlight here. Let's go through another interesting article, which is like condos ban growing cannabis. So let it upload, and we'll go ahead with this one. Okay. Ahead of legalization, some condos are banning residents from growing cannabis. So you may be wanting to do it, or once you purchase it, you may be wanting to get it done. But some condos are completely banning it. So basically, when you are trying to purchase a property, you may have to look into this particular ones. Again, let me give you some of the highlights of the legalization, which went on October 7, that Ontarians will be able to grow up to 4 plants per household, except maybe if you live in a condo. So you'll have to be very, yes, if you had a house, you will be allowed, excuse me, and you may not be allowed if you're living in a condo. So you'll have to get that one. Across Toronto, hundreds of condo boards have banned residents from smoking and growing cannabis inside their individual units and or on balconies. Now you may be wanting to purchase a property, and then once you have purchased the property and you suddenly find, no, you cannot do any cannabis here or marijuana growing up of these plants. So you do your homework before you're trying to purchase a condo regarding this. Condo boards have enacted these new rules over concerns of the pungent smell and potential mold. Yes, that is where we are very much wanting to potential mold that could form as a result of cannabis cultivation. So you have to be very careful. Now, when you're trying to purchase a property and it had cannabis growth, how do you address the mold issue which will be forming there? Even though home growing is legal under the Cannabis Act, condo corporations are able to create their own rules that prevent unreasonable interference with the use and enjoying of an owner's unit and common elements such as a balcony. So yes, that is what we are hearing from these various articles, that it may not be feasible in a condo. It's really not relevant whether the activity is legal, because there are many activities that are legal that condo corporation may have a rule against. Same format, same thing that I'm trying to. The exception is if someone needs to go cannabis for a medical purpose. The condo board would have to accommodate those residents on a case-by-case basis under the Human Rights Code. So now if you have a tenant, or if you had a medical requirement, you will have those exceptions. We'll have to work it out around. Again, if you're trying to purchase a property, be in touch with the condo board and go through their status certificate and go through their requirements, what exactly are doing. Now, this is an example here. A luxury condo near Blue Wren Avenue passed a new rule prohibiting smoking and growing cannabis at the end of September. So even before the legalization came, they had already banned that particular one. Okay, let's go through another which is going on in the country. Although the Federal Cannabis Act permit home growing, Manitoba and Quebec have banned home cultivation altogether. And some Canadian cities like Whistler have created specific rules stipulating plants must not be visible to the public. Wow. No such rules exist in Toronto, and since many Torontonians live in high-rises without access to the backyards, indoor growing is likely their only option. So lots of information here. Lots of things are going around the country, and Toronto may have a different format completely. Okay, so we are getting some ideas where things are with this particular one and where it's going. Let's head to the next article. Okay, now this is like one of the very prominent writer and clearing the smoke on condo, no smoking rules before cannabis legalization. Okay, let's head and see some of. Okay, now all of these particular ones, all of these particular articles and their links, they are already there whenever like you are going through the webinar on and at the bottom you have links to all of these particular ones. So if you want to read more about it, then you can read more about this particular one. And let's see if I can get some highlights here. Okay, probably I missed out on some of the highlights here. This was an article that I just wanted you to go through it, and this will also give you some brief into this particular cannabis format. Okay, let's head to the next one. Pot smokers in Ontario will be able to light up wherever cigarette smoking is allowed. Now, this again can be controversial, but let's see what exactly this particular article is saying. There are already a lot of people in these dwellings who are complaining about second-hand smoke from cannabis, and therefore there are some condominiums that are going smoke free completely. That's what I have been highlighting you from these various articles, that some of these particular condo corporations will be completely going smoke free. There is no doubt that second-hand cigarette smoke and second-hand marijuana smoke are two totally different things. One is potentially cancerous, while the other is potentially intoxicating. Okay, so this is another view from this particular article that they are suggesting. So again, people will down the line, I think so in a few months, we'll get a more clearer picture, and your condo corporations will come up with more clarity on the units, because some of them are telling like, okay, cigarette smoking is cancerous, and whereas marijuana smoking is intoxicating only, it's medically has been approved by the government. Lots of things will be going on. Others are baffled as to how for so long marijuana and alcohol were always compared. Now it's being aligned with cigarettes. So these things are going on in the market. Earlier we were okay, marijuana is almost like similar to alcohol, and the format is similar, and now some of them are aligning with cigarette. So the basic thing that we are trying to explain is it's all over the place at the moment. Let's head to the next article, and then we'll be going into more detail about how it affects the real estate. So this particular article link is again there at the bottom, wherever when you are seeing it on the live stream. If you click on show more, then you will be able to see all these links, and you can review and go through them. Okay, 5 things to know about the new Cannabis Act. So this particular article link is also there, and you can read about it. I'm going to concentrate on this particular one, which relates to the real estate part of it. Should a seller and a real estate agent disclose the past existence of cannabis plants on the property once it is legal? So this is very much in tune with what are real estate agents, and in case if you're a seller, what are you supposed to do in case if you regarding the disclosing of if there had been cannabis plants there grown in the unit, and if it has been a marijuana used house. In my opinion, this will be an issue as to whether it can be classified as a material latent defect. Now, in one of the other articles, I'm going to explain you this latent defect, which would have to be disclosed. So if it's a material latent defect, which would have to be disclosed. Since mold behind the walls that the seller knows about could satisfy this test, there will likely be litigation when it is not disclosed and the problems arise after closing. So now you get into the details and into what exactly it can come back to haunt you. So be careful if you're a seller, and whether you're disclosing it to your real estate agent, and he can disclose it accordingly as per discussion between you and him, and what steps they are taking in order to make sure everyone is covered. And so those are the things that comes in effect. Now let's get into a real estate board article, real estate council article, which highlights this lot of this one. Disclosure of former grow up Ontario. Now we have to go into some of the details. So let's see if we can get you into the details of this particular one. Let's see if I can zoom this particular article a bit for you. Okay, let's get here. With marijuana about to be legalized, I'm concerned about buying a former grow up. Does the seller need to disclose this information? So this is now we are getting into the very much what has to be done, and this is by the Real Estate Council. So let's get you some insight into this particular one. A home seller does not have to divulge a grow up was run on the property. Ontario courts have determined this. Interesting. Under the current laws in Ontario, a property seller is not required to disclose the personal history of their home, even if it carries a psychological stigma, a non-physical attribute that could trigger a negative emotional response from a potential buyer. So that is some of the information that is reaching us. The courts have ruled that a seller does not have to disclose an identified stigma to potential buyers, although some may do so out of sense of moral obligation or to avoid potential lawsuits, because it can down the line get into a lawsuit. If you are concerned about purchasing a home that was once a grow up, it's important to perform your own due diligence. Highly recommended, very highly recommended that you should go through the whole 9 yards. Hiring a qualified home inspector to check out the property and making your offer to purchase conditional upon it passing inspection. Conducting your own research, speaking with some of the neighbors and doing some research on the street address. Very, very important. Making sure that you get all your queries addressed, making sure mold is not there down the line, making sure you're not buying a stigma property, or if those things are concerns for you, and making sure you buy it prudently. Working closely with your real estate salesperson to formulate questions for the seller and their representative. The Real Estate Council of Ontario (RECO) Code of Conduct forbids a seller representative from being untruthful if they are asked a direct question about a property. So the moment you have concerns, ask yourself and make sure that your real estate agent communicates to the seller listing agent and ask these particular queries of yours. Ontario real estate information disclosure laws are latent physical defects the owner knows about that could make a property unsafe or uninhabitable. These must be disclosed to potential buyers. So these are the information coming from the real estate boards. How does that relate to cannabis cultivation? Grow ops can generate a lot of moisture, which may lead to mold infestations, and they may have undergone potentially unsafe electrical modifications. So now if you can understand the implications of it, it is not only mold, they may have used some unsafe electrical modifications also, and you will have to get those addressed. So these are some of the highlights that are there, and let me explain you that latent defect that we were talking about, and let's see if I can get you some answers on that one. Again, all these links are there for you to read more about this particular one. And now let me guide you with the latent defect. Latent defects are not apparent and may not be easily discoverable, even by a home inspector or other experts. If the latent defect poses a serious risk to the health and safety of those who live in the home, it must be disclosed by the seller. So that is some of the information there. Again, all those links are right there, and they will be addressed. Go through them so you can figure those things out. So now let's head over to our expert, and I am now going to get you to the expert and see we can have a chat with him. Okay, let me, till the time he gets ready, and let me guide you a few of the things that he has. And one of them is, this is his website. This is his website, which is called faisalgarcia.com. He is our mortgage expert, and I've been in touch with him from number of years, and he goes out of his way to help clients and is a mortgage par excellence. So that is his website, faisalgarcia.com. So that's his full name, .com. Next one is, he also has a website which is called Credit Repair Now. So that is where he does a lot of his credit repairing, and that is where things are. So he is an expert. Let's see if we can get him on our Skype interview, and if we can get him, then okay, hold on here. Let me show his websites again for a moment, because I don't think so I was there, showed it on the Google. So let me show it to you now. This is his website, which is called creditrepairnow.ca, and you can go there. And his main website is also, that's his name, faisalgarcia.com. So both of these websites are there, and I think so he is online, and let me get him there on our Skype live interview. Hello, Faisal sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay, so anyone till the time can give us a yes or a one in the chat, so that if they can hear him properly, and we will take it from there. So till the time I get you on the article, so do you want to highlight some of these marijuana in condos or cannabis that I had given? What are your thought process on that one? Go ahead, sir.
Well, marijuana in our society is not looked at as just medicinal. I mean, its use can vary in many different ways, but it does affect at the end where it is used, in terms of if it is grown inside a house, or if it is smoked inside a home, or whatever the case is. The real estate does get affected in one way or the other if you are selling or if you are buying, and if the proper disclosures are not done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. At the same time,
Okay.
condos.
Again, your voice again is missed out. So let's see what we can do. Can you increase the, if you go on your volume control, let's see if I can raise it. Okay, I'm going to raise your volume control here. Okay, and let's see if we can get you there. Can you see my, yes, can you see my screen?
And I did the same thing on mine.
Perfect. Okay, let's see. Okay, anyone else again, please can you update if you can hear Faisal Garcia loud and clear? Okay, go ahead.
Just press 1.
Yeah, I think so. The volume, it looks good. Let's see if we'll check it out again. Please update us again if you can.
Um,
Yes, go ahead.
as I was saying, the use of marijuana um, is not necessarily uh, looked as just medicinal. It now, since October 17th, it's not just medicinal use; it's also recreational use.
Oh, yes,
Now,
yes.
now that use defines if it is a need or a want, and ultimately it does affect the real estate, the actual piece of real estate. If it is one grown inside the home, because you're allowed to have 4 plants inside a home, and two, if you've smoked inside the home, it's very much treated like a cigarette smoking. I'm sure it leaves some traces behind, just like you enter into a cigarette smoker's home and you sort of sense that it's a home where people smoke inside, right?
Yes, yes.
So those are two aspects. Now, when when we are selling home, and certain disclosures are given, those could affect the sale price, purchase price, and that is something to sort of find out as we go along, because it's too new in our society to fully integrate into our social system.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it has lots of things that will be coming down the line, and that's what I have figured it out. Like um, uh, small things like landlord and tenant. In case if you purchase if you're trying to purchase a property, then how does it affect you? I mean, if you are wanting to use cannabis, make sure that you're trying to purchase a condo which allows that. Otherwise, you'll be stranded there.
Absolutely.
And then in case if you want to give it to a tenant who wants to use it as a medical, and you cannot say no to him, and then how do you address that? And then you have to again go through the mold issues and the electrical ramifications if you're trying to purchase a property or a house. So that was the highlight that I was wanting to do, and with and lots of things are in play there. So just make sure that you have a basic idea where you are and where you're going. That was the format that I had it for today. Okay, go ahead. If let Before we start with your article again, if someone can give us a one, then we start with the article now. If it's everything is good, then we can take it from there. Okay, now let me get this article up, and then I will seek your address in this particular one. Give me one moment, and now I am going to take you to this particular article. Okay, let's see if I can highlight it more. Yes, it's highlighted more. Okay, Faisal, this was an article that I had been reviewing, and I want your input on this one. See, it says home buyers in need of more detailed mortgage information. So they're finding, let me, this is a CMHC survey
Yeah.
for 2018 revealed that. I'll go one by one so you can walk us through. Home buyers would like more information on interest rates. So guide me on this one, please.
Um, okay. So first of all, interest rates. Um, let's go back. In 2016, there was a big change that spreaded the interest rate in many different types of interest rate. What I mean by that is in 2016, early 2016, if you wanted to purchase or if you wanted to refinance, the interest rates were exactly the same, no changes.
Okay.
So, so for instance, today's best interest rate for 5 years is 3.19.
Okay.
If you're purchasing a home or I'm refinancing your home, it was the same interest rate 2 years ago, 2016, early. Then late 2016 there were some changes. Late 2017 there were some changes. Now what these changes did is they restructured this interest rates into many different types of interest rates. What I mean by that is if you're purchasing with 5% down or if you're purchasing with 20% down, it's two different interest rates.
Okay.
Okay? So there's fixed rate and variable rate. There's one set of fixed rate and variable rate for insured mortgages, which is 5, 10, 15, 19% down. When you go to 20% down, it's a different set of interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's just in purchase. Then you go to refinance side, 80% loan to value is a different rate. 75% loan to value is slightly different. 65 is slightly different. 50% is different.
Okay.
So what I mean by this whole change is interest rates are now risk-based return sort of format.
Okay. I'm still getting that your voice is again low. So
Okay.
can you again just try that volume control again and see what exactly? Let me see if I can get this up. And
I have all of mine up.
okay, let me see. Okay, home buyers. Let's see. Okay, I am. Okay, this one will get me in trouble. I have. Just see if you can bring all of them to 50% and see if we can get some.
I turned them to 100%. Would that help or do you
Yeah,
want?
yeah. Go ahead until. Yeah, go ahead. Let's
Yeah, I
see.
turned every single one to 100%.
Wonderful.
Let's see if that works. And I will try to speak loudly.
That's great too. Okay, so let's go again. Okay.
So going back again, early 2016, rates were same.
Mm-hmm.
You had 5%, 10%, 15%, 20% down. They were all same rates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, same rates for refinance, same rates for purchase, same rate for equity takeout.
Mm.
Now, the changes that happened in 2016 of October and 2017 of October, they made interest rates sort of go in the risk-based structure. What I mean by that is higher the risk for the bank, higher the rate charged.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, 5% down is a low risk mortgage for the bank because it is CMHC insured. Therefore, the rates are better.
Okay.
When you go 20%, it's a different rate. It's a slightly higher rate.
Okay. So basically, the information that we are getting here is like, okay, so various information is the one that they are having problems with, and so as mortgage agents, you may have to dwell them more instead of just the regular ones.
Exactly.
Okay, let me. We are at our quarter to 8 mark, so let me take them. We may have. We may get back to this particular article again once we will have to solve this sound issue. We may have to go more technical into it for our next time and try to resolve that. So I will leave it in between here, but I'm sure that we will come back to, because I had some very important things that to review with you, and maybe we might even start you with this one once we resolve this sound issue, to make sure that we may have to do some testing more, that we can get this one right. Let me see. Okay, so let me get back to you, and then let me take these particular clients to the next scenario. Okay, so let me be, yes. Okay, so now let's head to our last format today, which is trying to get into the rent to own program details. So let me take you there. Okay, so let's Faisal, if you want to close your mic, yes, that will be fine. Yeah, not a problem. I appreciate. Thank you very much. And we'll get back to you again in a few moments at the end of the closing. Okay, wonderful. So let's get into these areas which we are covering today. So whenever like we are doing rent to own, lots of people are asking us, what all areas are you covering? Okay, so let's go here and walk them through what all areas we are covering. So we are covering the Toronto area. And now whenever we are talking to you about the Toronto area, we are walking you through with, we are covering Toronto, the central Toronto, mid Toronto, and we are covering Scarborough, North York, East York, Etobicoke. The only issue is, the only challenge we will find here is finding a property in your price range, because it gets very costly in the Toronto, Scarborough, North York, East York, and Etobicoke area these days. So, but we are covering all of this area. Let's walk you through the Peel region. That is the area we are also covering. In the Peel region, we are covering Mississauga, Brampton, Caledon. So all those areas are getting covered in the Peel region. Let's take you to the next one, is the York region. We are covering the York region too. In the York region, we are covering you Markham, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Aurora, Newmarket, King, East Gwillimbury, and all those areas are getting covered in the York region completely. We're also covering the Durham region, so not leaving any GTA area out. We are covering you Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, Clarington. All of those areas are getting covered. And we are also covering you in the surrounding areas. So now, at this moment, we have Brock, Barrie, Hamilton, St. Catharines, Cambridge, and even if a few of them are not listed here, we are covering all those because that is where basically most of your price ranges are. And so just hang in there with us. We will be able to cover all of your areas, whichever ones you are wanting to cover. Now, this is the next query that I keep on getting asked here is, what all property types are there? Okay, so this is very important. Again, let's walk you through the first one, which is condos. We are covering condos, and condos, condo townhouses, are properties which are with maintenance fees. So basically, some of these condos are high rise, some of them are low rise condos, and we are covering. So whenever we sometimes people ask, what exactly is the difference between condos and freeholds? So that's what we are trying to explain it to you. The condos are covering our properties with maintenance fees. We're covering you condo townhouses also. Now, condo townhouses are again low rise and stacked condo townhouses. Stacked are one on top of the other. So that means, let's say suppose there are 4 levels, 2 of them may be one unit, and then on top of it 2 another levels may be there, and those are 2 another units, and they are called stacked townhouses, stacked condo townhouses. Now the next one is freeholds. Freeholds are properties without the maintenance fees. So that's the basic difference between condos and freehold properties. And now let's get into the details of 2 types, 2 or 3 types there. Freehold are, in freehold you'll have townhouses also, townhomes, and semi-detached units. They formulate freehold properties. And single family units, detached homes, linked and detached homes, they are also properties with no maintenance fees. Linked properties are, they may look like a detached property from outside, but there maybe one of their walls or the basement wall may be attached, and those properties are called linked properties. So and your real estate agent will be able to guide you which ones are linked, and even these days the listings are getting clarifications there. Separate more greater mention is there for if the properties are linked or not. So guiding you through here that free condos, properties with maintenance fees, freehold properties without maintenance fees. Now let's get into the main program. So this is the rent to own homes, and we are going to walk you through why are we calling it smart. And I had, whenever in my previous webinars, you can have a look at this, and where it actually says how we have made this program smart, because we are giving you more alternatives before you jump into this particular program. We have this program completely covered. We have investors waiting for you. We have all the areas that you would be wanting. But the main thing here is this program is a very, very challenging program. And that is why we have many other alternatives before you jump into this one. So that's why we are calling it a smart rent to own homes program. This, exactly as we had in our previous webinars walked you through, this is a worst case scenario. And we are addressing this worst case scenario through the rent to own program. So you do have an alternative, but in case if you can get into a better version of purchasing, we will guide you through this and leave it as a last resort. And if that's the best option for you, we will guide you absolutely easily on this particular program. So let's get into the program details of this particular ones. These are you might have to go through my older webinars to get more details on this particular one, but at this particular moment I'll walk you through. So basically we have a buyer and an investor payment details. So we are now wanting you to who pays for what in the rent to own homes program transaction. Let's walk you through how the investor comes into the picture. You can go and pick up any property on the MLS, and an investor can purchase that property out for you. That's how this works. So that is where the investor comes into the frame, and you as a buyer then has to do your share. An investor has to purchase the property out for you. So that is where we are coming into the details of this program, that who actually does what. So let's get into this. Let's start first with investor payment amounts. Okay. Let's see what all things does the investor pays for. Okay. So the first one is you qualified on the basis of your income, on the basis of your credit score, on the basis of the down payment you have, and now you have a rent to own program set up for you. The investor will go now and purchase the property out for you. So he is the one who is purchasing the property. So he has to pay the property purchase price. The investor has now to close the property, so he'll be paying on the closing cost. That means he'll be paying the lawyer, he'll be paying the land transfer tax, he'll be paying the title insurance, he'll be paying the other requirements of the closing cost and everything that will constitute the closing cost. He will also be paying for the home insurance, because if without the home insurance, you may have you would not be able to close the property. So he will be also doing these particular things, that he will be paying for the home insurance throughout your tenure. Now let's get into some more. And during the entire time frame of yours, whether it is for 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years, the rent to own program, the investor will be paying for the property taxes. So those things are covered by the investor. Let's now get into buyer payments. What all is the buyer's obligations are. Let's get into the buyer's. The buyer pays for, okay, initial deposit. So now you are into the process of purchasing the rent to own program, and you will have to come up with the initial 5 to 7% initial deposit, depending upon your price range. Because if it is up to $500,000, you may get away with 5%, but if it goes above the $500,000, then you may have to go through the higher initial deposit amounts. So those particular amounts have to be done by the buyer will have to pay for the home inspection. So when you go with the real estate agent, you see these particular properties and you have narrowed them down, then you have to make sure that you pay for this initial deposit. So let me get out of the frame. So you will be paying for the home inspection. Next is, you will also be paying for the content insurance. He's paying for the home insurance, but the content insurance, you will have to get that addressed. It is similar as you are trying to do a tenancy in a property, and that is called content insurance. Next, you will have to pay for the utilities. So this is your obligation, that during the stay, whatever are the utilities, you will be paying for the utilities. Now let's go through the next phase of payments. You will be paying a per month rental amount. Now we'll get into the details of these particular ones through various examples down the line. So I will be able to guide you there how this particular format works down the line. Funds for the down payments. Okay, now you have to pay a rental amount, and you will have to pay a certain amount funds towards your down payment, so that there is enough down payment during the tenure of your rent to own program that you are able to procure a mortgage. So those are the funds, and I will be going through some of the examples whereby you can exactly understand what are the amounts that we will be talking at that stage. All maintenance will have to be addressed by you. It's your property. So basically, during the tenure of the rent to own, you're like have some maintenance issues, and you will be addressing those issues in your contracts. And in case if you're doing some renovations, all of those things will formulate, and you will have to be liable. You will be the one who will be paying for this. Any addition and alterations. So now you want to do some minor renovations, you want to do some additions and alterations, you will have to seek the permission of the landlord and the investor as the whole package of your rent to own. Those details will be put all together in there, and those all will form part of your payments. That one will be addressed by you. I think so. We are reaching the end of 8 o'clock today. We're almost there at 8 p.m. So this particular thing, we will be starting it for next week webinar, our next week webinar, and that would be the plan of action for this particular time. So now we are almost at the end of our webinar today, and let me give you some uh, uh, feedback, some of the web pages, so that they will help you out. So we went through a small rent-to-own buyer and investors payment format there, and next week I'll give you the plan of action. There are 2 plans of action which I am going to guide you, and then I will take it over with the few examples of rent-to-own, and that is there. Now, before I conclude, always I walk you through this particular in all your emails, you will see me emailing you that subscribe to this newsletter page that I do. These are some 7 or 8 articles I curate on a on a daily basis and email it to you. This gives you the highlight of what's going on in the real estate market and how it is affecting you. So please, it'll be in your interest if you are keen on purchasing a property in the near future, or if you're going through this rent-to-own program, go through these articles on a daily basis. This will give you a very good idea where the market is and where the market is heading to. And with that, let me see if I can say goodbye to our mortgage expert there. He is there with us. Hello, sir. Okay, so we conclude today's evening session. And any short note on the buyer and investor that I just walked you through?
I actually would just repeat your line. It is the worst case scenario. It's, you know, but in certain circumstances, that's the path that exists. So, and we have successfully done rent-to-owns. Um, it takes dedication on the buyer part and the investor part, of course, because market does fluctuate, and there are times when buyer and the seller has to be a little bit more patient than what they initially agreed to.
That's what I have always, that's what I'm concluding it on. Okay, like, it's the worst case scenario. We can address it in a much more clearer way, and we'll walk you through. And that's why we're calling it a smart rent-to-own program, because we have various other alternatives before you reach there.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you again for remaining there, and we will try to address our sound glitches again, and let's conclude it for tonight. Thank you very much, Faisal. Thank you.
Have a good one, sir.
You too. Okay. With that, we conclude tonight. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Good night, and let's call it a day. I'll see you next week again on a Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. And on that particular day, we are addressing power of sale. So that would be the topic for next week. And when you're trying to purchase a power of sale property, what are the things that you need to address? And that is will be our next session. See you next Monday. That would be 5th of November, 7 p.m. Let's call it a day. Goodbye for now. Thank you again, guys, for joining.